Hi Isabella, thank you so much for accepting to answer my questions today. So, first question will be, how often do you worry about climate change?
I worry about climate change a fair amount. It's definitely something that crosses my mind almost every day. How am I going to carry my water around today? What kind of transport am I taking today? Is it relevant for me to drive today? What am I eating today? Like, all of these things sort of cross my mind. There are definitely a bunch of different factors that dictate what my choices are, and the anxiety I feel about the climate and the existential dread that surrounds that is definitely influences that, and can definitely almost stop me from making any decisions at all, and just it can definitely take its toll sometimes.
And how often do you talk about it?
So with friends and family, a fair bit actually. So I've definitely had those conversations within the workplace, within like friendship groups, and then with family. And yeah, I want to say almost one every day. It's definitely prevalent.
And how do you cope with your anxiety related to climate change?
Within my designing practices, I consider my materials, the impact of my materials, the life cycle of my garments, and things like that. So I'm trying to shape my practice into being something that is quite cyclical and not linear, so that the garments have an end to their life, or at least I'm taking garments that meant to be at the end of their life and giving them new life. So I'm always considering that, and know that my knowledge is somewhat limited at the moment, and that I definitely have a long way to go. I know that it's not just a one-person job, it's a team sort of job. So learning as much as I can now while I'm a solo designer, and then hopefully knowing that I can be part of a team that helps create a better sort of system that's a closed-loop system.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk about scenarios of climate change. And so what would you imagine the worst case scenario to look like? How would climate change turn out as badly as it can? Some people imagine climate collapse, some people imagine the end of humanity because of wars. It can look like anything. What does it look like to you?
To me, I think that the worst thing that could possibly happen is probably just complete disregard for the fact that it's happening, and then just the complete sort of disregard in the sense that excess takes over, that people keep prioritizing things over experiences, or keep accumulating clothing and things that are never going to break down, just accumulating things for the sake of accumulation. I mean, my hope is that inevitably it will kind of come back the other way, but I feel like now is the time that it needs to rein in on itself and go, okay, hold up, what am I doing? I've gone too far, I need to stop. I think we're already at a point where it's too far, and we kind of just need to change directions a little bit.
And if we didn't change directions, do you have an image of what would happen?
Yeah, hopefully all humans will be gone. And the trees will take over, and everything will be green and lovely, and we won't exist. And I don't know, maybe there'll be giant butterflies or caterpillars or something. That'd be nice.
So you imagine the end of humanity. Would this be because of climate just swallowed everyone, or would it be humans killing each other, or what sort of nightmare would it look like?
Oh, I reckon artificial intelligence would take over, and just will create something that is no longer in our control, which I don't think we're far off at all, and it'll take over. Maybe it'll be smarter than us, and it'll be able to take over in a nice direction, but I think the human ego is way too big, and the people that are making this, and the self-fulfilling ideas of the creators of these things, means that inevitably that'll be programmed into this in artificial intelligence, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be a very good end. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping I'm dead before all this happens, but yeah.
So now that you've told us what's the worst case scenario, now let's talk about what would the best case scenario look like.
Best case scenario would be changes within our system start to happen at the same rate changes in our environment are happening. The rate that we have damaged the environment, we almost need to work at a much faster and quicker rate to rectify all the issues that we've done. I think we have the capacity, it's just we don't have the same shared beliefs, or at least the same drive. I think that drive needs to be accelerated, and I don't think it should be accelerated by fear. I think it should be accelerated by the idea that, we're all part of the same earth. We're all the same. At the end of the day, we're all part of the same planet, but we're all part of the same world, and we only have each other. We only have this earth, and we only have all the other things in the earth and all the things that we've created, and it's our responsibility to not take more than we need, and I think that that's something we've done. So I think in a beautiful, ideal world, everyone would stop taking more than they need and start to reflect on what it is that actually costs to survive. And I don't mean like a financial cost, I mean what do we need as humans right now to survive? I think we've already got too much and we just need to slow down.
And so does anything give you hope?
Mushrooms. Fungi. They're great. They adapt to their environments. They take what they need, but they give back just as much. And I think that fungi are the best example of living within an ecosystem. I think a lot of animals and plants do it, and I think we did at one point. We just went too far.
And do you see yourself as part of the problem or the solution?
Mm-hmm. Both. I think you need to be not part of the problem, but I think you acknowledge your role within the problem, and then you know how to create a solution from that. Because I think if you don't understand the impact that what you're doing has on the environment from one side, how are you meant to be on the other side to change that solution? I think we're all in the same boat. We're all definitely part of the problem, but we're all responsible for fixing creating a solution. And I think it's just a matter of being self-aware and reflecting on what you do and going, okay, I've done this in the past, where am I going to go from now? And actively choosing to change things within your now and within your means.
Are you familiar with the concept of nihilism?
Vaguely.
So in a nutshell, nihilism is the belief that nothing has a meaning and that moral values are worthless. So it's been a big problem with action on climate change, because people just see the whole issue as already cooked, and that anyways we're just humans on a planet and we're just all gonna die and shit is fucked up, and that it's not worth fighting for it. How much do you think you are affected by nihilism?
Probably quite a bit. I think it's very easy to go, no, everything's fucked, I'm just going to do what I need to do because I'm going to die soon. I think that's completely based on fear. I'm not saying you need to believe in an afterlife or you need to believe in a god or anything like that. That's completely up to you. But I think at the end of the day, my body ages, I decompose, I break down, and I become part of the earth that I'm taking space in. Then you can kind of go, okay, well, I return back to the earth. If I'm polluting it and I'm making it a terrible place, I'm making my home a terrible place. My thinking with that always comes kind of back to, we engage way too much with fear as a society, and maybe we need to try and be a bit more realistic. It's like, yes, we are going to die, but let's not leave this place to shit, because there are still other people around. And even if you can't see past your own friendship group, like or your own family, like at least make it a nice place for them, because you don't know when you're going to go. You might go before them.
What changes do you think need to happen for people to find meaning again then?
I think we need to find out what distracts us and then challenge ourselves and remove those distractions. I think we all have our own version of an addictive behaviour. Every human is addicted to something, and do what you need to do to get through your life, but take a step back and just be aware of what it is you're doing. Try and understand things from a different point of view. Consider different alternatives, because at the end of the day, I think it's the same problem. We're just covering it up by different things, and I think there's a lot of beauty and a lot of wonder in the world, and we cease to see it because we're so caught up in our phones or so caught up with things that distract us. Whatever it is, people need to be a little bit more nerdy, get amongst things, but also take a step back and go, okay, I'm slowing down. Just a general slowdown of life.
And last question. Make it a hit.
Oh God.
If you could tell everyone in the world one single thing, what would it be?
You are just as much a part of the earth as the dirt, the leaves, the air, and one day you're going to become that. You're going to return back to the earth, so don't be a dick.
I think that will do for today. Thank you
also,
so much.
mushrooms are great.
I think we need to get around mushrooms as well. They have a lot to tell us.
Yeah.
Thank you anyway for taking the time to do a little introspection and give answers to all my really confusing questions.
Thank you very much for letting me rant about random things that probably, I hope, make sense.